Jessica, I know you are just as passionate about these issues. How did you become involved?
Well, I think I can owe I owe every green part of me to my husband, Christopher Gavigan. He is undoubtedly the singular person who brought my attention to these issues. I think that without him, I would still be stuck on thinking I was a really good person for recycling my glass and paper. He started talking about things, I think, from his childhood, living in Connecticut, being much more in touch with nature and seeing the cause and effects of nature first-handedly. And then he, furthered his studies at Santa Barbara, and then he got into a career, really, when he took over what was called Children's Health and Environmental Coalition, is now Healthy Child, Healthy World, in dealing with the umbrella of all toxins, not just particular to the air. And then when he wrote his book 3.5 years ago, that came out 3.5 years ago, it furthered even further, everyone's understanding, and certainly mine, when I was reading his research and then reading the galleys, because I just happened to be pregnant at the time, of all the things that just seemed, quite frankly, very far-fetched for me to be worrying about. I mean, things such as tuna fish. How could that possibly be bad for you? And then I started seeing through my own pregnancy and through the information that Christopher was bringing home, literally, what was going on and how profound it was and how much it was not a joke, and it was not something that might be something that could be happening. It was something that was very much happening. And then it really became about my own pregnancy, and then it really became about, with Christopher's book being published, getting that information, metabolizing that information, and then figuring out how to distribute that information to friends, family, our community, vis-a-vis workplaces, exercise classes, friends gatherings, and also trying to do it in a way that didn't feel as though I was patronizing anyone or coming off as though I knew something that no one else did, but much more that I had something to share that was really important for people to hear.
That's great. And do you feel hopeful about all the work you've been doing?
I do. I think that, Christopher and I talk about it a lot, and again, it's in his book, which is that you have to. I think that it's wonderful that there are people who can stand on the tallest, ledge and tell and scream it to the world and make it their lives work. I think that that's something that's to be commended. I think that for most people, in order to not feel helpless, we have to think a little bit more community-based. I think that we need to get the word out to people who know us and trust us. And so I think that ends up being, again, in our communities, whatever those are. And so I don't think I feel helpless so much as I feel like we just have to keep getting the information out there. Otherwise, it's not to sound dramatic, but it will be too late.
Right, but there's something wonderful about the idea that how we have to stay close to home, because that is where we can really make a big change. Well,
of course, and it's just, I think that we all are understanding the profundity of how global the world has become, and how much, we go online and we trust what's there because of this community of people. But, there's not much that I can do for someone that's halfway around the world in a place I can't get to or reach. But I certainly can help someone who lives right next door to me, or, is in a class with me, or whatever. I think it's much more effective.
Jessica?
Yes.
Do you have anything to add there? I know you have been so involved in Healthy Child.
Well, yeah, no, that is all the information, and I always, and Christopher and I always, I always defer to people who actually spend their days in the trenches. Again, I think that, where I can help is in the messaging, and we say it all. I think the reason why Vicki was saying it so much is because it is our most powerful tool, which is that we have these communities, and we have the ability to pass on information where people can get information that's reliable, it's really important for everybody to sort of get involved.
Jessica?
Well, I think that again, if you go back to, I sound like I'm his publicist, but, when you look, it's the first time I ever found all the information, but when you look at my husband's book, Healthy Child, Healthy World, Creating Cleaner, Greener, Safer Home, that's exactly where it starts. it absolutely starts. And to my knowledge, indoor air quality is actually not as good as outdoor air quality on occasion. And what we actually, and again, Vicki, I'm sure you know more about this as far as exactly, particle by particle, but it's my understanding that we absolutely, it's one of the most important things to do as far as, toxicity in our homes and how much we are led to believe that something that is there to help make things clean is actually making us sick, or could make us sick.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of great information around about what products are less toxic or not toxic at all.
And I think that, by the way, I think that there is an opportunity for it to be non-toxic. I mean, I think that's where you can certainly try to, every little bit counts. But I think that there is room for you to have a non-toxic household cleaning scenario. Studies showed that the benefits of the Clean Air Act outweighed the cost by more than 30 to 1.
No way.
So, if you were to actually give a directive as to, I know that the bigger, the issue is that a lot of people who, have busy lives and children and everything else, they kind of go, oh, I'm very concerned about this, and it's a thought that's in their head, and then they shelve it because they have to deal with something that's more immediate, and then when they go back to it, they sort of miss their place. So what you were talking about, there were a couple of things that you could do, but if you had to actually give a directive as to the one thing that someone right now could finish this and go do, what would it be? Would it be the letter? Would it be the email? Would it be adding your name to a petition? What would one thing be?
Jessica?
Well, no, I think that this is, I think, again, because I think that we all just get so busy, the time to do it is now. I had my second child this year, and again, there was more information, and there were better and more clear and more defined ways that I could protect myself and my fetus. And I went with that, and I again shared that information, but I did it right away. It was not something that you could put on your list of to-dos because it won't get done.
That's such a good point. And again, this idea of protecting the fetus, that it's such a powerful image. You think this child is inside of me and I can keep it safe. Vicki mentioned the blood-brain barrier, and, we think that everything gets cleaned before it goes to the fetus. It's filtered.
Yeah, no, again, in sort of the very scary facts about mercury, it's 1 in 10 is the number of child-rearing age in America with potentially dangerous levels of mercury in their bloodstream, and 410,000 infants are born every year in America having been exposed to unsafe levels of mercury while inside their mothers. It's definitely, it's huge. It's unfathomable.
And it's shocking. It's shocking that this is a problem we can do something about, and we need to make sure something does get done about it.
Well, and that we're responsible for. I think that was the thing that sort of definitely, besides my husband bringing the information home, the thing that really catapulted me into action was that the minute that I got pregnant, I realized that I was responsible. That if something went wrong, God forbid, on any level, and certainly there are definitely things that people need to understand that they are not responsible for, but, in the scope of what I was going to do to make sure that my fetus, that my babies were protected, there wasn't anything that I wasn't going to do. So again, this is probably, by the way, why you started with the moms.
Thank you all very, very much for coming. This has been terrific. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.